Every decision we make about lighting is framed around many different variables: what we're trying to achieve, the environment, and the equipment available. The first thing in my mind when I walked into a room is to evaluate what are some of the challenges, what are some of the benefits, what are some of the strong point that we want to showcase, and is it doable? The next decision for us is framing, because that will tell us where we can place lights. The next thing that I do is expose the cameras for the windows. And once you have the camera settings set up for the windows, then you don't touch your camera settings anymore. Then we can start raising the intensity of each light until everybody is exposed properly. Lighting is all about problem solving and achieving the best possible results with the tools that you have and the environment that you're in.